working.
I'm here to be a parent.
What?
I said I'm here to be a parent.
No, not really.
Yeah, I got 10th grade.
Really?
As if I don't know any of this stuff, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, so what?
her dad is coming, so he
Awesome.
feels like everything that he goes to, I gotta go to.
Even though you've been here before.
I've been here for 5 years, watching other kids do it. I'm sure it's gonna drastically change when my kids do it.
And you have to enforce it with 2,000 other kids, right?
And y'all will think like that, you know, they're just so good. It's, you know, they're like good black kids. And after them not being in school for 2 years, you know, I think that they're gonna act as their best behavior. Because simply because they haven't been in school for 2 years, they're so anxious to do what they're supposed to do. she was hoping transcripts got sent, and she wanted
All right, welcome everybody.
recorded.
Appreciate you all joining us here. Welcome to Wilson. My name is Steve Miller. I am the 10th grade assistant principal. I'm so glad you're here tonight. We're very excited to be welcoming students back in person in a little less than 10 days. Our teachers come back tomorrow, so we're very, very excited to get back and going in person. I know you all have a lot of questions, and that's what tonight is all about. We're going to give you about an hour presentation. A lot of different folks are going to come up and speak, but at the end of the night, you'll have opportunity to ask specific questions, and I know there will be some, so we hope to get most of those answered for you tonight, and to get you off on the right foot as you start off at Wilson High School. So, welcome. With that, just a quick note about safety. Really appreciate everyone coming in with a mask on tonight. Didn't have to ask a single person who came in, and I really appreciate that because it's a very personal thing for us here at Wilson. COVID-19, we have taken quite a toll with our staff. 6 of our staff members have lost immediate family members due to COVID, and after 2, 3, 4 of those, I mean, it continues to hit home. We also had many students who've lost family members to COVID. So really appreciate the seriousness in which you guys came in with the mask tonight and paying attention to safety for us. Just want to say thank you before we get going. Next up, it's my privilege to welcome our principal, Mr. Gregory Barton.
This is my 21st year being here, and I have to say that every year at this time I always get excited about school starting. But even more so this year, because I saw 9th graders yesterday, a lot of the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, the new students coming in today, and there was so much excitement. When I went into in the atrium, we had students in there picking up their computers because we're going to one-to-one computers for this year, so it was very exciting to see students happy and back in school again. So I want to talk about the focus for this year. So one of the things is we want to make sure that everything is safe as we come back into this building, and one of the things we're going to talk about, and Mr. Miller's going to talk about tonight, is about safety and our protocols that we will have in place. Now I have a weekly note, a bulletin that goes out on Sunday, and the first one will go out on Sunday the 29th, prior to school starting, to give you any updates, because updates are constantly coming. They're trying to make sure that everything is safe, so downtown is constantly giving me updates to tell you about it. So I'll have something out on the 29th. The other thing is, because students lost a lot in the virtual space, lost a lot of the academic work that they needed to do in an in-person environment, we're going to have after school some intensive tutoring going on, and it will start within the first 2 weeks of school after school has started. The other thing we have, and Mr. Miller will be talking about that, is we have a team of people for each grade level. We have a mental health, and we have a separate mental health team, but we have a team of people that will help students transition back into the building. And I told 9th graders yesterday, it's not just 9th graders that will be transitioning this year. It's a unique year. We have 9th, we have 10th. The 11th graders were only here for a half a year before we went out for COVID. So we have the 11th, and the 12th graders have only been here for a year and a half. So everybody, after being off for that year and a half, is transitioning back into the building. The last thing is, and I talked about that a little bit earlier, is we're going to one-to-one. Every student will have a computer. And the other thing is, as far as lunch is concerned, the district applied for lunch and meals. All students will get free breakfast. All students will get free lunch. All students will get, we will be in the supper program, all students will get free supper. So for athletes participating after school, supper will be available for them. So we are moving trying to move in the right direction to make sure that students feel safe as they come back into the building, that you feel secure and knowing that your students are safe being back in here in the building. So with that, welcome to Wilson, and take it over, Steve.
All right, thank you, Mr. Barger. All right, next up, it's my pleasure to welcome the PTSO, the Parent Teacher Student Organization. Here you go. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shannon Pemberty, and I have the privilege of leading our PTSO this year. PTSO stands for Parent Teacher Student Organization. And in fact, while we do have a board and volunteers and committees, and we have grade reps for each class, actually, our 10th grade rep, Elisa, is here tonight with us. I will be hearing a lot from her. And also Julia Slattery, who's the other 10th grade rep. The organization's really, you're already a member. Everyone who's a part of the Wilson community is already a member. The PTSO originated actually in the 70s, at least that's as far back as I can find corporation documents. We are a nonprofit, and we exist for a couple of reasons. Primarily, we support the community at large here at Wilson. We do that through fundraising, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But we primarily provide grants. So about this time of year, all the teachers have received a form asking if there's anything that they don't have money for through DCPS that they could use money for to supplement their classrooms and their planned activities this year. They submit those, and by and large, we fund all of them. Those can range from small expenses. One of the most innovative ones that I've seen since I've been here at Wilson was one of the biology classes wanted to help students visualize all the components of the brain. So they bought swim caps. They asked us for money to buy swim caps for all their students. And then they could actually draw all the pieces on the swim cap. It was a great visualization of what they were trying to do in the classroom. But we do big things too. So even last year, parents were so generous. I really was just overwhelmed with how generous parents were at such a difficult time. We funded and started virtually the Wilson Initiative to establishing our school as a no place for hate destination. And we got through, I think, 3 of the 4 components of that, and look forward to finalizing that certification this year. We also funded mentoring for teachers. You know, we were all at home watching our students adapt to remote learning. The teachers also had a lot of adaptation they had to do in terms of remote teaching. The school had an initiative and a program. They got some funds for that, and we supplemented it so that they could take the program to the schools. We've done other things like printing presses so that more students could participate in art. We also fund the school newspaper. We make a generous donation to the theater department, and sometimes we meet even individual student needs. So we try to kind of be all to address where we're needed. This year already, we partnered with the Garden Club, which is actually under our Science Technology Academy. We'll hear about that more in a minute. And we redid all the landscaping in the atrium, so you noticed that when you're going out tonight. All of your students in the first week of school will receive a water bottle. We're going to talk more about the water fountain situation. But we funded water bottles for every student, and there'll be opportunities for them to personalize them, since we're going to have 2,000 of the same bottle in the class. And also masks. And both of those have Tiger logos on them. So we anticipate that as the school year goes on, there's going to be more and more. I want to say the second thing we do is we communicate with you. So in addition to the emails you'll get from the school and Principal Gardner's weekly update, you'll hear from us with reminders. Sometimes we're amplifying what the school has sent out. Sometimes it's new information. We are going to try to be as digital as possible. And we're trying to use Twitter a lot more, so do consider following us at Wilson PTSO. And then, of course, we can only do all these things if we have money. So we try to make it as easy as possible. And we only ask the parents do one thing, and that is to text to Wilson PTSO to 44321. You could be pulling out your phones and doing this right now, and you'd be complete your transaction on our secure site by the time that I'm finished. I will say last night we raised $12,000 for the ninth grade parents. Just while we were here. So that was a huge boost to start to the year. But literally, we ask you to do this one thing. And if you do the one thing, I promise you, we will not do tree sales, we will not do galas, don't do auctions. This is all we ask. So we also encourage you to volunteer. I'm a big believer in that many hands make light work. We are organized primarily by committee. We have a grants committee, a communications committee, a hospitality committee. One of the things we do to support teachers is provide lunch for them on professional development days, and we need parents to help with that. That's a really easy one to do, great visibility with your students, instructors. And then we have our fundraising committee, and then we have grade reps. I would really love to see us do more parent programming, but to do that, I need people to help organize the events, and that could be both educational, informative in nature, or it could be social events. But we don't have that position on the board right now, and I'd really like to create it this year while I'm leading. So, anyone's interested in that, please come find me. I think that's all I actually have tonight. But there are, let me add, there are levels of giving. There's some incentives at the highest level. We have a little goodie bag, and you'll be getting an email from us. It'll have a flyer. It'll have more information. It'll have all these links to be able to donate. You can also donate directly from the Wilson website. You go under Parents and PTSO. There's information and our contact information there as well. Anyone who donates between yesterday and September 30th goes into a drawing for a Microsoft Surface Pro 7 laptop. It was a big draw last year, and the only way to get your name in the drawing is to make a donation. Any amount. We appreciate every dollar. Thank you so much for your attention, and really am looking forward to getting our students back into school this year.
Thank you. You know, this year is going to be quite a challenge to welcome back students after a year and a half of not being in person. And just the things that the PTSO can do, such as helping build the community and fill a lot of those needs that just pop up at the moment that we didn't anticipate, it's just tremendous. So I really appreciate the PTSO and the work you guys do. Thank you so much, and thank you to anybody who gets involved with the PTSO. Okay, so that's me. I'm the 10th grade assistant principal. I thought it would be helpful tonight to quickly talk through the difference between what an assistant principal does versus a counselor versus a dean versus so on and so forth. So I'm going to quickly go through the 10th grade team. I realize not everybody here is a parent of a 10th grader, so you don't really care about these people, and that's fine. But I will show you who your folks are if you're a parent of 11th or 12th grader as well. But as we go, I'm going to talk through what each of us do. So first off, assistant principals, we kind of have overall responsibility for your child for a grade level. So all the students in that grade level, we have overall responsibility for them in terms of academics, socio-emotional health, pretty much you name it, we have responsibility for that. However, we rely on a great many members of our team and their expertise to help us in this task. So first and foremost are the counselors. Counselors do a tremendous job. Probably right now what's on top of many people's minds is their schedule. What are their courses that they're taking? The counselors, we have a computer program that does the bulk of our scheduling, and then the counselors pour through what comes out of the computer program, make sure that it meets your students' needs and the needs for the graduation requirements, and ensures that they have the right schedule and are ready to go. So the counselors are working really, really hard this week and next week to balance out all of our classes, make sure your students have all the credits that they need. And that's a big, big part of their job right now at the moment. Another huge part of their job are academics. So they're continuously tracking student performance. And students who are doing exceptionally well, they're encouraging them to take more difficult, challenging courses. to really push themselves and excel while they're here. And then on the flip side, students who need extra support, they're at the forefront of trying to link them up with the supports, whether it's intensive tutoring, whether it's a club, whether it's another support class that they might benefit from. The counselors are pivotal in this work. And then ultimately, it's all about when your student is walking down that stage and walking out of the door at Wilson at graduation. Our goal is to make sure that every single student, no matter what they want to do, whether they're going to Harvard, whether they're going to the Army like I did, whether they're going to a specific job after that they have a certification for, that they're walking out the door ready to go when they're 17, 18, 19, and finished here at Wilson. So counselors have a big role in that, and that's a big part of what they'll be doing with your child the next 2, 3, or even just 1 year. Sorry, 10th grade, we have Dr. Fortson. Is here with us tonight. She's going to talk to you in a little bit about some more detailed counseling things. Also 10th grade, we have Miss Alita Lane. They divide students up by last name. So Miss Lane has students with the last name N through Z, or that begin with the last name N through Z, and then Dr. Fortson has A through L. We also have a dean of students. So for each grade level, we have a dean. And the dean's overall responsibility or job focus is on building a strong community here at Wilson. And this man, Coach Mark Martin, is a fantastic one for this. He's been here over 12 years, so he's a Wilson alumni. He's Wilson through and through. He knows all about Wilson. He knows what can help students become successful. He knows how to mediate conflict. And he's just a fantastic person to have on our staff. Occasionally, we do have to discipline students when they make poor choices, and dean of students are the primary point people on that. Assistant principals do get involved with that at times, but dean of students are generally the first line that are dealing with the kids, talking to the kids, trying to figure out what happened, and we'll be calling you if something like that were to occur. Coach Martin is also the point person for the Kids Ride Free cards. So those are a little delayed this year due to COVID, but those are coming out, and we gave your students instructions on this today and yesterday if they were here at those orientations, and we'll hit them again on the first week of school, talk to them about where they can go to pick those cards up. And then lastly, another person on our team that's really, really important is our social worker. We have at least one social worker for each grade level. Their primary focus is on social and emotional health. They run a lot of workshops. They do one-on-one counseling meetings. They'll do group counseling meetings. They have workshops with families. And most importantly, they are your child's biggest student advocate here in the building. Their role is never to punish or do anything on the discipline side. They're always in the corner of the student, trying to help them through whatever crisis they may be working themselves through, and they're here for them. So Lacey Nadry is the 10th grade social worker, and we'll go over the 11th and 12th here in a moment. And then lastly, the attendance counselor, this is the person who is going to call you if we don't get the notes, right? So if there's a dentist appointment and you didn't turn in a note and it's an unexcused absence, this person will call you. Hopefully you answer when they call, and they can get that excusal note processed. We do have an online form for that, so you don't actually have to speak to our attendance counselors. You can do it all online, submit it through our website. They'll approve, and if you need to do an early release or something like that, maybe you need to pick up your student at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, no problem. If you do it a day or two in advance, do it through the online form. We'll have your child waiting for you at the front door, ready to go. They will need to call you right before we release them, just to verify that it wasn't the student who filled out the form themselves. But as long as they can get a hold of you, we'll absolutely release your child, and I'll have them waiting for you so you don't have to call them and wait on the process to work. All right, So as promised, first off, you don't need to remember these folks. You don't need to take their picture or anything. This is all on our website. So I would just encourage you after tonight, if you need to get a hold of these folks, go to the website. You don't have to memorize anything tonight. But our 11th grade team is led by Miss Camille Robinson as the assistant principal. We have Miss Singletary Robertson here tonight as the counselor for A through L. We also have a new counselor, Leticia Martinez, for students M through Z. Dean of Students, Dominic Birch, fantastic young man. Social worker, Miss Kim Wilson, also outstanding. And then we have our attendance counselor, Mr. Leonard Long. For the senior class, we have 2 assistant principals. There's a lot to do that 12th grade year to get your student across the finish line. And so we double up on assistant principals for the senior year. And Mr. Ronald Anthony is A through L. Ms. Tiffany Goodman is students N through Z. Our Dean of Students is Coach Henry Martinez, our new baseball coach. Counselor for A through L is Leslie Sargent. She couldn't make it here tonight, but wanted to be here. We have a new counselor, Justin Hargrove, for M through Z. Social worker, Miss Davine Mathis. And last but not least, attendance counselor, Miss Tiara Pearson. So each grade level team has 5 to 6 support folks who are helping your student on a day-to-day basis, depending on what pops up. We also have 3 school psychologists. Not all of them are here all day with us. A lot of times they're popping around doing educational testing is a big part of their job. But they are here available should you need to get a hold of them. Fantastic resource that we're lucky to have here at Wilson. But again, you didn't have to memorize any of those folks. I did see people writing it down. I saw people taking pictures. That's great. But really, just go to the website. You click on the Paris link, and you should be able to find the class of 2022, class of 2023, class of 2024. If it's not under parents, it should at least be under students. And you can find the support teams there. All right, COVID. So this is also top of mind, I'm sure, for many folks in the room. So first and foremost, obviously in DC we have the indoor mask order in effect. So all students will be wearing a mask while they're here during the day. We also have a screening process at the door. We will have medical personnel at the door looking for symptoms, asking students who might be showing signs of COVID symptoms. And then if they are showing signs of symptoms, then we pull them off into a separate nursing suite where they're isolated, and they'll undergo further questions about how they're feeling, maybe take a temperature. And then if we have your permission, we can give them a rapid COVID test at that point. There is an opt-in form that will be sent out that will allow your child to be tested should they be symptomatic. All right? If they're symptomatic and we don't have the opt-in form, that's okay. We'll just have to send them home at that point. We won't be able to test, and you'll have to get a test at CVS or urgent care, something like that. But we can test if we have that form. We'll also have some asymptomatic testing for about 10 to 20% of our students, as long as we have that form. Excuse me. So, speaking of water, we have, I don't know if you noticed on the way in, we have newly installed water dispensers. And with the bottles that the PTSO is providing the students this year, they'll be able to fill up their bottles and maintain those all day. Our water fountains are turned off, so there's no, to reduce the amount of touching of shared spaces. We also have HEPA filter air purifiers in every classroom. So in the standard classroom, all the desks will be facing the same way, so that all the breath is going one direction, and the air purifier is there strategically located to help purify the breathing that's coming out of the students and the teacher. and then recycle that. We do try to maintain 3 feet of distance, but we can't guarantee it. In some classes that have, say, 30 students in the classroom, they will be sitting maybe 2 feet from the person next to them. We spaced it out as much as we could, but the physical limitations of the classroom mean that at times, in certain classes, they will be within 3 feet. So what does that mean? So if there's an exposure, any student that tests positive for COVID will have to quarantine for 10 days until we get 10 days and no fever for more than 24 hours. And, the folks who are in close contact with that student, that means within 3 feet for more than 15 minutes, following all of these other procedures, then those students will also need to quarantine. In this case, it will be 7 days, as long as we can get a negative COVID test. So again, 7 days with a negative COVID test, but 10 days if we don't get that negative COVID test, along with the 24 hours without a fever. So that is kind of the general outline of what we'll be doing. But if you want more specifics, this stuff, like Principal Bargeman mentioned at the top of the presentation, this stuff is rapidly changing. So 2 days ago, after I created this PowerPoint, the mayor came up with a back-to-school update. Some of you may have seen the press conference on Tuesday afternoon. And the slides are linked to this presentation. So if you want more details specifically about how we're going to test, how does the quarantine work, maybe you don't remember what I said, 7, 10, stuff like that, the prevention steps that we're taking, the screening that we're doing, and then about how do we inform the families. If you want all those discrete details, it's a lot. It is linked right there, and you can go into detail. We actually got more information this afternoon that we're busy right now in the back working into our presentations for our staff tomorrow. And we fully anticipate, before students arrive, we'll have another update from DC Health or the mayor's office that we'll need to incorporate into our procedures. So we go into a little bit of depth tonight, but if you want to go further, I highly recommend going to the mayor's slides, straight from the DC Department of Health. They determine pretty much all the procedures that we do. And next steps for you. So I highly, highly encourage you to complete the consent form when it comes out. I think it'll come from Principal Bargeman, but if not, it'll just come from Wilson High School in an email. And we highly encourage you to complete that. That way, we can save you money, or excuse me, not money because they're free. We can save you time and effort. Test your child here if they're presenting symptoms, or if they want to participate in the asymptomatic testing that we do 10 to 20% of our kids every week, then they can participate in that as well. If we don't have that form on file, we won't be able to test your child. So highly encourage you to do that. Also, the CDC is encouraging all students 12 and up to get the vaccine. So they're eligible for the vaccine. If they are not vaccinated already, we are encouraging students to go ahead and get that. I'm sure you're seeing the headlines that we're seeing. 20,000 students in Mississippi today, quarantined. 7,000 in Florida a couple days before that. That's definitely a nightmare situation here in DC. DC, we wear masks at a much higher rate. People are very careful, highly vaccinated, but still, things can happen here, so we encourage all the students to get vaccinated. And then lastly, this is just a general announcement. All the other required vaccinations, we're still waiting on quite a few, several hundred students to provide their vaccination records for the non-COVID vaccinations. So if you haven't had a chance to submit that, please get that to our school nurse. Very, very important so we can finish the registration, get you loaded with all the classes that you need for your student. All right, so some of the procedures that we do control here in the building are the entry and exit and lunch procedures. So school, as I told the students this morning, school starts at 9. And in a normal year, non-COVID year, I would encourage students to get here no later than 8:50 because it takes, especially around 8:50, it's going to take 10 minutes to get through security and get through the line that kind of builds up at the front of the school. Oftentimes at 8:55, the line will be past where the person who took that picture was standing. So highly, highly encourage students in a normal year to get here by 8:50. This year, I am recommending 8:45. So I think students, if you want to be on time by 9 a.m. In your class, I highly recommend 8:45 arrival. You should be able to breeze through security at that point, the COVID checkpoint as well, and get to your class with 5-10 minutes to spare. If you try it at 8:50, 8:55, guarantee you're not going to make it to class on time. So 8:45. How do we set it up? So 9th and 10th graders have to come through the main entrance. 11th and 12th is a privilege. It's a little faster to go through the pool entrance over by the community pool at the other end of the building. 11th and 12th graders are welcome to come through the main entrance, but they'll see the lines and they usually go to the pool entrance, which is much quicker. In terms of lunch, so we're very fortunate. As you can see, Wilson has a lot of space in our 4 buildings, and we have a lot of outdoor space that we use at lunch. First and probably closest to us is our art terrace. So we have a lot of great table space out there. Students also choose to sit on the steps out there. Next to that is our stadium. Stadium can hold several hundred students during lunch. There's still space, they're outdoors. Students love to go out there when it's good weather. Another outdoor space that we encourage students to use this year is our Rose Garden. This tends to be a hangout for a lot of freshmen, which is not the students that you have. But it is a space that we can easily put 100, 200 students outside. Of course, our cafeteria, our atrium, when you walked in, can hold several hundred more students. Our library digital media center, and then last but not least, nope, I think I covered them all. So we have a lot of spaces here. Oh, last but not least is the classrooms. If a teacher is willing to allow students to come in, they can eat their lunch in a classroom with a teacher. A lot of teacher sponsors who sponsor clubs will have their clubs meet during this time, and they'll bring their lunch. But some teachers don't want to give up their lunch, their 45 minutes of no student time, and that's totally understandable. And they need a little break, and they don't allow it, but a lot of them do. Normally, and we dismiss, at the end of the day, we send all the students to the main entrance. Now, with COVID, that's not a good idea, so we have at least 4 exits that we're going to use at the end of the day this year. The first and closest to us is right outside this auditorium to the right. All the students in this building at the end of the day will be going out that exit, as well as the building right next to us. In the main building, we can use the main exit, our main entrance, and then we also use the stadium exits. And then, last but not least, if you're all the way at the other end of the building, in one of the gym areas for PE or health class, you can go out in through the office door and gym right there. So we'll have 4 exits going at dismissal, and that should really help to space out our students, rather than sending them all through those 6 or 8 doors that we have in the front of the building. Our schedule is very simple in terms of our bell schedule. We have 4 periods. They're 82 minutes long, split by a 45-minute lunch. So there's nothing too fancy about that. The only, I think, maybe unique thing that's a little unfamiliar to some folks is students will be taking, since there are only 4 classes, we have twice the amount of time that we would normally have in each class. So students, for example, taking English the first semester, they'll take a full year course of English in 1 semester. It's called a 4x4 schedule, and that's what we'll be using this year. So they'll take a full year of English, or whatever the full year class is, in 1 semester, and then when the second semester begins, they'll get 4 new classes. All right, with that, now that we're starting to talk about schedules, I'm going to turn it over to our fantastic counseling director, Dr. Fortson.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Fortson, and I wanted to share with you just a couple things that is important to know for your student as they progress through high school. So the first thing is some key terms, and it's terms that you have heard before, but because we have students come from all over the world, we want to ensure that all students and parents understand these terms. We're going to understand the graduation requirements, which is number one, very important, as well as the letter of understanding, LOU, you'll hear more about that, and also schedule change requests. So some of the words that you need to know are honors. So when students take honors, those are more rigorous courses. As you will see from your student schedule, a lot of the courses are already honors, so they're more rigorous. Students who are in honors courses get a 0.5 boost in their GPA. Then we have AP courses, which are advanced placement courses. Students who take AP courses get a 1-point boost in their GPA. Very important. So Carnegie units and credits, we use those words interchangeably. So students will either be in a course, say a 0.5 class, which means they meet every other day, or a full credit course, which means they stay in the class and they will meet Monday through Friday every day for one semester. All right? And GPA is the grade point average. So the rank. So rank is very important, and this is where you can see on their transcript and how they're ranked based on their GPA compared to their peers. The transcript, that is their academic record that lets them know all the courses that they've completed or taken in high school. CLCP, which is very important, students have to have that, the college level career prep, I'll talk about that in a moment, and CTE, career technical education, and you'll hear more about that with our academy. So, graduation requirements. The number that you need to know is 24 credits. Students, in order for them to graduate, they have to have 24 credits to graduate. That's 4 core classes. When I say core, that is your math, English, science, and social studies. Now, when you see math, it's specific. So algebra 1, geometry, and then algebra 2. But your senior year, you get a choice of which math course you would like to take. And then the science, it must be 3 lab science, but you get a variety of courses. And then as you get older, students get older, they can take advanced placement courses as well. Social studies, again, 4 credits. Students must have 2 credits of world language. It does not have to be the same language, but they have to have 2. Many universities will prefer that it is the same credit. I advise all of my students to have 3 or 4. Be consistent. Colleges like to see that. Art, music, those are 0.5 credit. Health, PE. DCPS is very particular about their health and PE. You must have a full credit, 2 classes, PE 1, PE 2, and health credit. Also, you have to have elective courses, and that gives you the 24 credit. And within that, you have to have your college level career prep, and that can be your AP courses or your academy courses, and that'll give you the 2 that will give you the 24 as well. In addition to the 24 hours to graduate, you must have 100 hours of community service. This is so important, and it's non-negotiable. You can have a 4.0 GPA, but if you do not have the 100 hours before graduation, you will not graduate. And at the end of the year, you'll get a letter from DCPS to let you know if your child is on track, not only about their academics, but are they on track for community service. DCPS recommends that your child has 25 hours per year to make sure they're on track to get 100 at the end of the year. We send emails weekly in the weekly note that Mr. Barger spoke of. The council sends emails weekly or monthly letting you know of community service opportunities. Letter of understanding. So this is what I shared earlier. This is on the back transcript. This is something that you would talk to the counselor and the students. We'll talk about this twice a year. This is an academic document letting you know if your child is on track. With the letter of understanding, it breaks down all the courses that your child needs to have in order to graduate. If you see 0%, that lets you know your child hasn't completed that course. Once they completed the course, all of them will say 100%. And so this is in Aspen, and so you'll be able to track your child's progress as well. So again, the letter of understanding, you'll get that and let you know about the 100%, and then let you know again if your child is on track. And you'll get a letter of the understanding, so we have to sign this every spring, so you will have no surprises by your child's senior year if they're on track to graduate. Because this is something that we do each spring. We meet with you and your child to make sure they're in the appropriate classes and on track to graduate. So, understanding the classification process. I said that you have to have 24 credits in order to graduate, but this is the breakdown for the classification. Of course, coming in, 0 credits, you know you're a freshman. Sophomore is 6 or more. Each year, you'll see you have to add 6 more credits. In addition to English, English is required to pass in conjunction with those credits, okay? And at the end, to graduate, again, you have to have 24 or more credits. Schedule. I know this is on a lot of parents and students' mind right now. So, schedule. On Monday next week, you will see your child's schedule in Aspen. It should be there on Monday. All right? Day 1, when students get here, they will go by their last name, if they don't check it on Aspen, to know which class they're supposed to go to, and they will get a hard copy of their schedule. But starting next week, you can view the schedule in Aspen. Okay, how do we change those classes? We often tell students and parents, we can guarantee the core classes. We cannot guarantee electives. We do our best to give your child, if they get 5 out of the 8 classes, 6 out of the 8, we do our best, but we can guarantee the core, but not all of the electives. Okay? So, starting on Monday, students will have the opportunity, if they see that they're in a course they do not want to participate in, they have to wait until Monday. It'll be an online schedule change form that they will complete and send to their school counselor. It's online. How the students will be notified, it will be in the weekly note. The form will be on our website. We will have QR codes around the building so they will know, oh, I went to this class, I really don't like this class, and they can submit the form to their counselor. Also, we will email out to students and parents. So we're going to communicate this frequently, but they only have a week in order to submit an online schedule change form. And they only can submit a schedule change form for electives. Only electives in the class period. For example, you have math, science, social studies, and then you have an elective. You really didn't want that elective in 4th period, you wanted it in 1st period. We cannot do that switch. We only will be looking at 4th period for another elective for you. Councils will complete all schedule changes in Aspen by close of business Monday, September the 13th. Councils will notify the teachers, parents, and students via email. So we're asking students to check their emails, parents check their emails, the teachers check their emails daily. Whatever their schedule is that day 1, they must follow it. We will be updating it as the day progresses, but Aspen does not update until the following day, and they will see all the changes, and we will email them. So that's very, very important. So this just gives you just a preview of what the form looks like, and again, it will be on our website. We will email it out. It will be in the weekly note. And this is the contact information for all the counselors. Thank you.
bit about schedule. She mentioned that they're going to be available on Aspen starting on Monday. I will put a disclaimer on that. The counselors are going to be balancing the classes next week. So sometimes the computer doesn't do such a great job and puts 40 students in one class and 10 students in another. And the counselors have to go back by hand and switch all those schedules. So they're going to be doing that next week. So I would say Monday is a fairly tentative schedule. If you're looking on Monday, near the end of the week, it's probably going to be more solid. And then by Monday, the first day of school for the students, that will be a very solid draft before the schedule change process begins. All right, so again, first period starts at 9. We'll just talk about attendance real quick. These are the excused absences and unexcused absences. You guys can read them. I won't read them to you. The one I would highlight that sometimes trips up folks is vacations. Vacations are unexcused. Vacations are important, but you'll have to weigh that between the limits of the unexcused absences. So DCPS policy not to excuse those. All right, so again, if you need to get your child out of class to go to the dentist, or maybe they went to the dentist and you need to get that excused, you can do that on our website. Just go to the quick links and you'll find it there. You have 5 days to get those notes in, to get those excused. And yeah, we already talked about those other items. Truancy, not going to spend a ton of time on this. Just want to highlight one thing. The state reinstituted a new an old rule that they're reinstituting. Is the 80-20 rule. And this hits us hard in a 4x4 schedule. Basically what the 80-20 rule means if your student misses more than 20% of the school day, they're marked absent for that full day. Now why this hits us hard is those of you who are good at arithmetic, we have 4 periods. So if a student misses unexcused, misses 1 period, then technically, according to the 80-20 rule, they are unexcused for the entire day. So that's something to be aware of. I won't go through these other tiered lists. I'm sure none of you are going to hit those marks because you always get those absences excused. But if you don't, just know that there's a kind of a tiered list of consequences that we have to follow. We're legally obligated to, at 15, refer that to a truancy officer if we get to 15 unexcused. And the attendance counselors will be calling you and sending you emails and saying, you know, we need to get these excused. They're working with you. They absolutely want to get every absence excused. So that's something we want to make happen. But we have some legal obligations that we have to follow. So please work with them as well. All right, I mentioned social workers before, so a lot of this I covered. Just want to highlight again, they're very, very good at crisis intervention and love some of the programs that they put on with the individual group therapy and training opportunities for students and parents. They put on some excellent workshops. Highly recommend, especially coming back from all being isolated for the last year and a half. So they're going to be very critical to our success this year. All right, academies. So before I get into academies, I'm going to take another sip. Sorry, folks, this is my sixth orientation in 2 days, so my voice is starting to go a little bit. But our Wilson Academy, so if you're not already familiar, the academies are kind of like a college major. So students can have a little bit of an opportunity to specialize while they're here at Wilson. They don't have to. If they choose not to join an academy, they're absolutely welcome to stay kind of general education. But we do offer the opportunity to specialize, and it usually comes with some benefits for each one. The first academy is the Academy of Finance. So we have an outstanding group of business class teachers, and they will take students through a program of studies about how to invest, how to manage your financial assets, how to basically build your wealth, which is a topic I think near and dear to most of us. So the Academy of Finance is a great opportunity for students to get those classes that build life skills and how to manage money. Another great opportunity for academies is our Simultech. This is where we have our biomed program, we have an engineering program where they do robotics, Project Lead the Way, stuff like that. We have computer science, where students are able to do programming, and we have environmental science. So this is very competitive. They're usually here very late at night. A lot of these students working on fantastic things throughout the year, and I highly recommend the Simultech Academy. Academy of Media, this is a new one, Academy of Creative Media. So if the student is interested in becoming, say, like a graphic designer, interested in digital media, or if it's more on the communication side, we specialize in both of those areas for that academy. Our Hospitality and Tourism is one of our biggest academies. They are a fantastic academy for students who, again, are interested in making money while they're here, because we get them all paid internships during their junior and senior summers. We're connected to DC businesses of hospitality and tourism. Those businesses took quite a hit over the last year, but they're starting to come back, and this will be a great year for students to get involved kind of on the ground level on a lot of the rebound. So if they're interested in any of those things, hospitality and tourism is a great academy for that. Jrotc, first thing we always say to folks is this is not a military recruiting program. It is a leadership training program. Most of our students who go take Jrotc, participate in that academy, do not end up going into the military. It is, however, taught by 2 retired members of the Army, and they do follow a leadership development curriculum. A very exciting development is that's happening next year, not this year, but next year, is we were just approved to be one of 10 programs in the country that will offer a cybersecurity certification track through our Jrotc. They picked us because of the great work that our Jrotc battalion already does, as well as our proximity to local universities and local experts in the cybersecurity field. So those students will leave with at least 2 certifications in that field, should they follow that track. Again, this year is kind of our learning year. Our instructors are getting trained up, and then next year will be the start of that cybersecurity program. WISP, so Wilson International Student Program, very focused on international studies. This is where you can get a few extra credits for world languages if you really want to develop your skills there. If you want to get some international travel experiences and opportunities, you can do that through WISP, as well as global cultural studies. So fantastic program. AAA, this is where basically our folks who are interested in a career in sports. So now we know most of the students here are not going to go on to play professional sports, but it doesn't mean they can't work in the sports industry. So sports management, marketing, coaching, broadcasting. We're broadcasting live right now, and we normally have student announcers for a lot of our games, broadcasting online as part of this academy. We also have athletic training, so a lot of opportunities for students to start to learn about the sports field while they're here at Wilson. So one thing I will say, there is a little bit of a pressure right now on the academies for you folks. So you have 2 weeks to sign up for an academy. And the reason for that is, if you sign up for an academy, especially if you're a junior or a senior, we're probably going to have to change your student schedule right away so that they're meeting some of these credit requirements for these academies. So if you're interested in joining an academy, you feel like your son or daughter would be interested in joining an academy, please go to our website, click on the link for academics, and under there it should be academies. Or you can reach out directly to either of these gentlemen, and they'll be happy to engage with you and get your students signed up right away, and then connected to the counselor who will have to make changes to the schedule. So a little bit of a time pressure on that time crunch, but it's a fantastic thing to do. Get your students involved in the academy. All right, next up, we have our Wilson Tiger Athletics. So highly recommend all students to get involved with at least one sport or activity while they're here. The students on their exit surveys, when they leave at graduation, the students who had enjoyed their time here and found a lot of academic success, one of the most common things that they note on their exit survey is they were involved in an activity or a sport. So we offer many sports here, more than any other DCPS school. So there are many opportunities, especially for new students who are just coming to us, maybe are not as developed on their skills as some of the other players. That's okay. We have JV teams in most of our sports, and the coaches are looking to build those programs. So highly encourage, especially after a year and a half away, there's going to be a lot of openings on our athletic teams. So highly encourage students to get involved. It's a great way for them to find new friends to hang out with, new mentors in terms of adults to work with, and we have a great programs throughout. Fall sports, you can go to our website, click on athletics, and it'll take you to a separate athletics website, and you'll see the tryout dates for all the fall sports. Some of them have already come and passed. However, we recognize with new folks, you may not have been aware of those tryout dates, and you could reach out to the coaches directly to arrange a tryout. And just let them know that you have a new student. Athletic director is Mitch Gore. Assistant athletic director is Jrotc. Both fantastic long-term Wilson alums, and we're ready to help any student that comes along. So highly recommend you reach out to them. Our performing arts programs are fantastic here. We have 3 different performing arts programs. I know you can't read the slide very well. But we have 3 different drama programs. We also have stagecraft. We have concert choir. We have instrumental music. So a lot of different performing arts programs that your students can get involved with. And they can put on fantastic productions. Things well beyond what I thought a lot of high schoolers could come up and do. So highly encourage you, even if you don't have a student that participates, at least come and enjoy the show. Because they put on some great shows. So again, these are your 2 points of contact. We'll also have an after-school coordinator this year who will be coordinating a lot of the activities. So you can reach out to either of these 2 folks, and if it's an activity and not a sport, they'll put you in contact with her. Bless you. Next up, we talked a little bit at the top of the night about No Place for Hate. This is a fantastic way for students to exert leadership while they're here. It's a great program, just building up this last year. But we've had a lot of participation with our students, and we're looking to build on that. SGA, Student Government Association, just about every school has one of these. We have an excellent group. However, being a year and a half away, we haven't had elections. So we have a lot of opportunities for students to run for office and to step up and take leadership opportunities. And then lastly, Tiger Team. So Tiger Team is for those maybe who aren't interested in being elected, but are still interested in leading on some of the efforts around the school, whether it's school beautification, getting more students to participate in our athletic fan events, stuff like that. These young Tigers are taking the lead. They're just not officially elected by their peers. So 3 different opportunities for students to get involved and exert some leadership. Our SGA sponsor, her email is right there, Ms. Sonora Spiciani-Gerhardt. Another thing that's probably top of mind for some of you is Aspen. So Aspen is where you will go to find your student's schedule. It's where you will go to find your student's grades. And some of you may be wondering, well, how do I get access to this program? Or maybe you're familiar with Aspen, but you forgot your password, or you forgot your username, or your student's ID number. This person, Ms. Diana Morataya, she's in our front office. She's fantastic. She can help you out with all of those questions. She's should get back to you within a day or two on any of those, but she's absolutely going to hook you up with Aspen access whenever you need it. Kids Write Free cards, I mentioned this before, just want to mention it one more time. Coach Mark Martin, he's actually the 10th grade dean of students, and he'll start getting going on those next week or the first week of school. And then this year, I believe Principal Bargeman mentioned this earlier, but we're going to go to a one-to-one environment in terms of our technology to students. So what does that mean? Every student will have a laptop in every class this year. They'll take the laptop home with them. You're welcome to bring personal devices, personal laptops, as long as they meet our security specifications, which will be put on our website. And if they don't have a laptop or they don't like the laptop that they do have access to, that's not a problem. We issued a lot of laptops today to students who came for orientation. They'll also be available pretty much any day next week, 9 a.m. to 3:30. So I know we tried to separate it out, seniors, juniors, all that stuff. But if one of those days if your assigned day doesn't work for you, that's fine. Come up any time between 9 and 3:30. We'll hook your student up with a laptop, or maybe they have a laptop from last year and they can't access it, or it's not working, or they have some account problem. Now's the time. Next week is the time before school starts to get all that stuff squared away, because the first week of school, the 1,000 or so students who did not come to orientation are going to want this. And then your student goes to the back of the line, or at least it's stuck in the middle of a 1,000 student line. So next week, no lines, come on in, we'll get them hooked up with a laptop, make sure their accounts are working, all their passwords, everything's good to go, and they'll be set up for success for day one. Okay, so now we get to the point where we open it up for questions. I know you guys have many. I'll try to repeat any of the questions so that folks in the back can hear. But that being said, let's get started. Yes, sir?
During quarantine, either for someone's positive or they've been exposed, is there asynchronous learning? Is there learning in the same classroom? Is there enough different track for that particular student?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that information is still coming out to us. So we got the first chunk of that information on Wednesday afternoon. We're getting a lot of funding for simulcasting equipment. So that's the goal, is to, if we have students that are going out on quarantine, to be able to do that. That being said, we don't know when we'll be able to have that money, purchase the equipment, get the equipment here, get our teachers trained up on it and in place. But that was just authorized by the mayor and put into her budget. So that is going to be the plan, the long-term plan. The short-term plan is students will be able to make it up at the very least. So students will be able to make it up. We'll provide extra opportunities for them to receive that material, either through asynchronous or through a recorded piece. That's all to be worked out this week, but we just got that information on Wednesday, so we're still working through that. Here with us tonight is our Director of Strategy and Logistics, Mr. Brandon Hall. He's fantastic. The folks who know him love him absolutely. He's been a point person on a lot of our health briefings that we've been getting and trainings. A lot of the information, I saw him working in the back while I was up here talking just now, and I know he's going through a lot of the stuff that just came out today. So he's up here as well to handle some questions as well as Principal Bargeman. Yes, sir. Excellent.
All right, my daughter is transferring in. She's coming back into the fold. Wasn't deal. Checked out of school, came back here instead. She found out her account is still there but locked, and tech is working through that and so forth. What's the turnaround on that? Would we be able to get it straightened out by the time school starts?
Great question. So the question was, his daughter's currently locked out of her account and needs to get back up to speed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Tech Director, or Instructional Technology Director over here, Mr. David Thompson. So what say you?
That's a great question. We're like in a tech purgatory right now. It is kind of funny. We're in a 5-day period where our student information system turns over. And so that's supposed to be completed Sunday night. And everything should be turned around, ready to go Monday morning. And usually it's pretty successful in getting it. That's why you guys, nobody can access Aspen right now as parents. As students, nobody can access it because we're doing this big turnover. So that's, everything will be taken care of. Come by any day next week if your child didn't get a device, and we'll make sure they can do that. They can get it.
Unlocked early next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just, we can't just, yeah. So, yeah, we'll take care of it.
Helpful, thank you.
But if you don't have access by mid next week, then reach out and we'll get it taken care of. Yes, ma'am, next up.
Does the school provide like college counseling, college admissions counseling?
Absolutely, Dr. Fortson. So the question is, does the school provide college counseling, college admissions counseling?
So we do have a college and career director, Ms. Levinson, that she will be working with you in conjunction with the school counselor. So we all work together. We have different college nights, different parent nights. So we send information through Naviance, so working with the students, so we will be helping you along that process.
Thank you. Yes?
A question about athletics. Do we just email the athletic director to ask things about tryouts, specific things about tryouts? Anything that's not posted? What's posted is just the time of the tryouts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can also find the name of the coach on most of those.
Yeah.
But if you can't find the name of the coach, yeah, the athletic director, they should respond within a day.
I've had great success already. I was just reluctant to badger them. So
No, now's a good time. Now's a good time for them because they're still getting spun up. So it's a good time to hit it. Yes, ma'am.
How you doing?
You are.
My daughter is going to be a 10th grader, and I wanted to know when should she take the PSAT?
Ooh, PSAT. That I don't. Can you know that?
Thank you for that.
PSAT will be given in school this year around October, in October.
Thank you. Yes, in the back. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Question about computers. Is anyone getting a computer? Are they required to bring them to school daily?
Yes, so the question was, do they have to bring their devices every day? And the answer is yes. Our teachers plan to use those in class as part of the instruction. Don't think of like last year where it's through Teams. That's kind of a last resort if we have a lot of quarantine things going on maybe. Or if we're doing, maybe if they're doing group work, teachers might put them on Microsoft Teams together to keep that 3 feet of space whenever we can. But we're all still working through that. We're welcoming back our teachers tomorrow, so we're going to be working through that a lot with them. But yes, please have them bring their devices each day. Yes?
And this is following up on that. So what are the devices? What kind of laptops are they getting?
Tech director?
Tech director.
It's very flattering that you call me a director. So the devices are Microsoft Surface Go, and it's the 2nd generation that we're distributing now. So if you have an old one from like last year, please return it so you can get a better one. I know. Although these are all new parents here, aren't they? Okay.
They are new, yeah. We may have some new parents. Yes, sir, in the back. Sorry, ma'am, in the back. Yes.
Is Naviance access tied to Aspen access?
Is Naviance access tied?
Should we get logins for
Aspen
Naviance
access.
when we get our Aspen logins?
So it's, yes. So if we have an accurate email address for you, for your student, it will be tied to that information.
And then one quick follow-up question. I understand about electives changing. What if you get your schedule and some of your core classes are incorrect? You go directly to the counselor for that?
So you will, you could send the email. So when you say incorrectly, so if a student who is a 10th grader is in English 3, which is totally wrong, then yes, we would change that immediately.
All right, yes, sir.
If the students are using this personal laptop, how do we make sure they comply with security?
So the question is, if they're using their personal laptops, how do we make sure they're in compliance with the security protocols? Is that a script that's run through our network? I can't remember.
Yes. I'm trying to think of how best to answer that question without getting into trouble. So we don't have a lot of direction on that yet, but we don't have any restrictions. So when they come in, they'll just check in with me, and I'll be in the front there. Again, we're in process of how that will look in the next week or so, but nobody's going to be cut off. But generally that has to do with making sure that like the antivirus is up to date, those types of things. And there's some additional software that might need to be loaded at that point. They're still working through some of those details.
VPN, stuff like
Yeah, and a lot of it is you know your personal preference on the devices that you're using, how that works.
Question? Yes?
Can you tell me how many AP classes sophomores are eligible to take? It seemed different than in the past.
So you have AP Psychology, AP Human Geography, if your student, depending on which math they took the previous year, so they can take another AP, so they can take several AP courses
As a sophomore?
as a sophomore. So say it may be roughly maybe 5 courses that they can take. But it wouldn't be their English, it wouldn't be their history or their science, things or their core classes as a sophomore. There would be more electives as AP courses for sophomore. Unless, depending on, so if they had, as a freshman, they had pre-cap, honors pre-cap, then the next year, they will be taking AP. So then, you know, they would take AP that year. So just depending on which course they had last year. So that'd be the only exception for their core class.
And just want to add to that, our sophomores do all take in their core classes, honors classes. So we have an honors for all program for freshmen and sophomores. So they will take an honors class, which gets the GPA bump, and is also a little more rigorous. So we challenge all of our freshmen and sophomores with those classes. Yes, sir, front row, got the second part.
Are you able to connect the Kids Ride free cards to like Apple Wallet and iOS the same way that you can like with my card, you know, like for the Metro?
No, not yet. I don't think DC government has gotten that further than that quick.
That's a good question.
That is a great idea. As I put my Metro on the app recently, it's fantastic. Yes?
I was wondering about the summer assignments that are up on the website. If you're a new student and you don't know exactly which classes,
Yeah.
my son has looked, but it's not clear which assignments he's meant to do. So is that required for new students or not?
Yeah, so summer assignments are not mandatory. So they put recommended assignments, I believe English and math, and some of maybe the computer science classes. And you're right, it's very tough for a new student to know what math in particular they're going to be taking.
Yeah, I mean, I was curious because he signed up, I think, for some AP classes.
Yeah.
So it's not required for those either then?
No, and the teachers know. Like, they'll have grace for new students. They understand. And some students, you know, they may have spent a summer abroad or summer volunteering and doing something fantastic. And that's great. We want to encourage that, and we don't want to burden them with summer assignments. So they are optional, but as an enrichment to build on if they had a chance. Yes, sir?
Thank you.
Will we receive the Aspen Passwords just in an email to us? We haven't gotten yet.
Yes.
That comes with their schedule?
It comes to the email that is assigned to, that's in Aspen. So when you signed up, when you registered, it'll be sent to that email.
Okay.
So when the student's registration is complete, they get an email through Aspen?
Yes.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Well, we've registered already, we've gotten a welcome. We've gotten...
We're still in purgatory, remember.
Okay.
So try it next week, and if you can't get in, then there's more time, and she'll get you in. Yes, sir. First row, back there. Yep.
Hi, and the next question will go to the young lady in front of me.
Oh, excellent.
So I have a senior coming into Wilson, a new Tiger. One of the things that I heard was that 100 hours of community service has to be completed for graduation. Now, I'll gladly tell him that he has to complete 100 hours this year, but what are the standards for that?
So it is 100 hours of community service. We look at Thanksgiving break, winter break, spring break. It's opportunities they can do after school on the weekend. So we'll give them lots of opportunities, but unfortunately, it's not grace just because they came their senior year. It's 100 hours in order to get a DCPS diploma. We have virtual as well. We still have virtual opportunities, and it's on our website.
Very good, thank you. Yes, then.
In terms of the resources, I know last year we used Canvas and Teams, and I heard you say that we're not going to use Teams as like a general, unless it's necessary for asynchronous. Will the students be using Canvas for their books and other things, or will the books be provided in school?
Yeah, great question. So Canvas is going to be huge this year. We're still going to be pushing with Canvas. We're actually going to be pushing even more with Canvas, and we've added features to it, on the teacher side especially, but even on the student and parent side. So Canvas, absolutely. For those of you who are not familiar, Canvas is our learning management system. So it's where all the course content is for a lot of our courses in terms of assignments. We even give assessments a lot of times through Canvas. It's a fantastic tool. We're continuously adding to it. Some of our, all of our course material is on there. We will still have physical textbooks for some classes. So it's not 100%, kind of like Teams. Teams will still be used, but nothing like it was yet last year, where, you know, the teacher is in front and 30 screens and, yeah. So we're reducing Teams, raising up Canvas. Let's go to this side. I haven't been here in a while. Yes?
If the student chooses to use their own laptop instead of Mac, is that going to cause problems? Is it better, should a student get a big computer because the Mac is just going to cause all kinds of problems?
Mac's fine, right?
Oh, no, it's definitely a problem. So they'll need to come see me to make sure that they get an SSL certificate.
So they need a certificate. But we can still use it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of people who want to use Macs.
Would it just alleviate a lot of problems if they just picked up a DCPS computer?
You know, everything we're going to be doing is going to be based around the Surface Go that we're using. So, you know, this is brand new. So it's going to be learning. It's going to be a process together.
Any slight preference for the Surface Go?
It's going to be, you know, there's a lot of really cool stuff going on that, you know, you start with what you want, and then we're gonna sort of like develop as we go.
Yeah.
And kids might say like, hey, I really like digital ink, and that's what the tablet can do for me.
Yeah, this year is our first year with one-to-one, so I think next year we'll probably be a little picky, but this year is a learning year, so we'll be figuring out our systems really. Listen.
I know that there were a lot of options for lunch.
Yes.
Before I'm told something different. My kids want to leave school during lunchtime. Tell them that before I'm told something different.
Yes, so our seniors get off-campus lunch privileges as long as we have parent permission and they reach, what's the GK? Do you know?
Juniors and seniors, as long as they make honor roll, they can get off-campus lunch privileges. So juniors and seniors, and if our 10th graders make honor roll for 3 terms in a row, the 4th term they will be allowed to have off-campus lunch. But the privilege, there's a form, and the parents have to sign the form saying that it's okay.
Thank you.
And parents, that is great leverage. So I'm telling you, they care about that. So just keep that in mind. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Thank you. 2 quick questions. One about Canvas. I know it's a tool that's available, but is it an expectation that teachers will use it? Is it going to be sort of a standard directive that you need to use Canvas for your class?
Yes, they will be using Canvas. They need to post their syllabus there. And yes, grades are still going to be entered on Aspen, but they might also be entered on Canvas.
Okay.
But Aspen is the official record. So generally what happens is teachers give the assignment in Canvas, student completes it in Canvas, it's automatically graded in Canvas, and then every week or two, the teacher's transferring that over to Aspen.
Got it. And then
So Canvas is a little more live than Aspen is.
thank you. And then the second question is about, again, about schedule changes. I understand it's limited to electives. Was there thought given in scheduling this year that we had the 4x4 last year, we're going to have it this year? There's a possibility for kids not having, let's say, mathematics for a full year. So if my child had math first half of the year last year, is there thought given in his schedule to give him math early this year so he doesn't go a whole year without it?
So our scheduling is a program. So when students, so we have, say, 2,000 students. So all of the requests, the counselors put it into the computer generates the schedule. So they do it. And then the counselors, we go and check for holes, and we schedule if we see that it's too many students in a class. So we're not individually checking, this student didn't have math since, almost a year. So it's computer generated program.
Right, but that computer reads rules that you guys, or someone has put into it. So was that rule put in where we would hope children aren't going a whole year without getting that?
I don't think the computer program has that capability where we can do it that way.
Okay.
I apologize.
All right, who have I been neglecting? All right, I'm going to come back to you next. But this gentleman, yes, sir.
On the scheduling, is there an opportunity for the counselors are they going to look at our existing transcripts from their old high school, and also, or can we say in some way like what we want to, where the kid wants to go, before we find out the schedule on the first day of school or next week or whatever. In other words, for example, I have a kid who wants to take Spanish, which is one of your core things, and so how will they know that he wants to do that versus a different elective? Is there any consultation, or should we just email the counselor now if that's what we want to do? Or?
So you were asking about the form itself? Could you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Is the schedule we're going to get just kind of coming from a counselor? Are you going to, does the counselor see the existing transcript of the kids so far so that they can place them appropriately? Or do we have a chance to let the counselor know that we want to do this elective, or the child wants to end up, working their way to this, or in my case, we want to take Spanish.
This is a transfer student, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a new student, you should have met with the counselor either virtually or by telephone to talk about your transcript. So they could have asked for the transcript so we can look at it so we can see which courses they've taken previously. Once you get the welcome email from the registration team, it lets you know who the school counselor is, and then from there, the school counselor will contact you. If they're not contacting you, my name is Dr. Fortson. I think we can put the email up. Please let me know. But that is the process. You have to wait until you get the welcome email. And once you get the welcome email, it lets you know who your counselor is. And from there, the counselor will contact you and get the information. Because on the welcome email, it asks you to ensure that you are completing the information about the transcript, so we can get that information, because that's very important. Because we basically would be putting you in classes if we don't know what your transcript is.
So should we, we just got that in recently, so should we just contact that counselor straight away?
Yes. So if you got the welcome email and the counselor has not contacted you, go ahead and contact the counselor. And if you still have not the counselor has not contacted you, I am the department chair, contact me.
Got it, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Oh, Lord, it's been so long, I forgot.
That's on me. I apologize. As soon as it comes back, let me know, okay?
I'm just kidding. I have a question about testing. Did y'all bring in a bunch of medical personnel, or is it just the ones, the nurse who's
So we have a contractor from outside called Maxim PCTs, patient care techs. They're going to take care of all the testing, the asymptomatic and symptomatic testing that's on site. So as you mentioned earlier, when the student either just has symptoms and goes to the HRI room, the PCT will take care of that testing.
All right, folks, so we're coming up on 7:30, so we're going to take about 3, maybe 4 more questions, and then we're going to have to call it. Yes, sir.
Maybe I shouldn't even waste time on this question, but my son just got his license. He wants to drive across the street, you know.
Of course, yeah.
Is there parking for students? And if there isn't, is there a safe location to store a scooter or a bicycle?
So, no, there's no parking for students, unfortunately. There's not even enough parking for all the teachers. So we're about to battle that out tomorrow with the teachers. We're laughing because it's a battle. As far as bikes, there are bike racks up front. Scooters, that's a good question. Brandon, anybody, scooters? Do we have any way of securing a scooter? Can you secure a scooter to a bike lock? I don't know.
If you have your own locks, there's bike racks up in the front of the school.
Yeah, so bike racks in front. All right, time for 2, 3 more. Yes, ma'am?
Just a real quick one. I went on the website, I couldn't find the form that you're referring to give approval for the rapid testing.
Yes, it's my understanding that form is not gone out yet.
It's on the website. I don't know what link it's under, but we did send an email out last week, and it's going to go out again this week. So you'll have that link coming soon.
Excellent. That's why I give them the mic, because I answered that incorrectly first. Yes, sir.
I saw the news. What kind of testing is going to be? Is it going to be nasal testing, or is it? I thought I saw a different test that's going to be done for kids.
No, currently the guidance is the nasal test.
Okay.
All right.
For the different forms that go to the nurse, can we email them in? Is there a portal for it?
There's 2 email addresses, and we don't have the email address, and her name is kind of long, and I don't know it by heart. But it's on the website, the school nurse. You can see and email all those healthcare forms to her, or you can email it to wilsonenroll.k12.dc.gov.
Vaccination forms, all that.
Yep.
All right, folks, so we have time for just 1 more, and then we're going to wrap it up. Yes, ma'am.
My daughter is very worried that her computer won't be able to stay powered throughout the whole day. Will you assure us that there's going to be enough power strips for everybody in those rooms?
So yes and no. So yes, there will be power strips, but we do not have enough for all 30 students to plug in all the time. But they shouldn't need to. So we'll have some students who are low, some students who are full, and so there will be the ability to plug in for plenty of students. I've actually taught in a different school in a one-to-one before, and you tend to not need the whole class plugged in at once. Usually you need 2 to 3 students out of 20. So, you know, we'll have enough for that. We'll have, you know, probably, 5 to 10? 2 to 3 power strips. Yeah, so 5 to 10 outlets that students can plug in all of their classes. So you should be okay. Now, if it's a computer that only lasts 10 minutes, you know, that we might want to look at getting one of our devices. All right, so I apologize. We do have to call it at this point. However, I will say if you did not get your question answered, please do not hesitate to reach out and contact any of us. We will get back to you within 24 hours. But we do need to call it for the night. We have our teachers coming in at our first day tomorrow. So thank you so much. Welcome to Wilson. We appreciate it. Thank you.